Kingdom Come Deliverance is a bizarre game. Jeff Morchiafava is reviewing it for us right now, but Leo's been playing it a fair amount. I started it last night. It is a game that we didn't have access to early, so we're coming in hot as well with some very raw impressions, so take everything with a grain of salt and whatnot, because it's a big, expensive game. But it's a game that there has been a real, I feel like, grassroots groundswell of passion and enthusiasm for. People writing into the podcast like, why aren't you guys covering this game? This could be amazing. And so I was a little bit disconnected about why are people so excited about it? But then Joe Juba was wandering around the office yesterday just like a maniac as we're shutting down the office. And we're talking about just like the pitch for this game. And he explained it in a way where it's like, yeah, I understand that. So it seems like the easy pitch is you take a Bethesda game, you take, let's take Oblivion, for example, but all real world, all grounded, no magic, no nothing, which is an interesting idea. But I didn't understand until starting it last night that it's like, it is real world. Like it takes place in the 1500s. Like it is.
You don't know how to read at the start.
Yes, exactly. It's a historical open world RPG. Leo, what do you think of this thing so far?
It's growing on me.
Oh, interesting.
I played it in 2 gamers sessions.
What's a gamer session?
A session of gaming done by a gamer.
Oh, okay.
How long is a gaming session?
These here were about 4 hours apiece.
Okay,
that's a good session.
Oh man, that is a
that
gamer
is a good
session.
sesh.
Solid sesh. Not going to do my own heart too much. But I played it here, and I did kind of a stealth or a sneaky speedy run. Sneaky speedy run, I believe it was called, with agility and speech. And then I didn't have my save when I got home, so I did more of like a brawler type of character there. And just seeing how different the opening few hours can be, depending on what skills you have and what you like aim to do, I was really impressed.
Really? Okay, so the fighting, let's just dive into that, because that was one of the strangest things starting it up, is I didn't really expect it to be as For Honor-y as it is. Like, it's very positional focused, and even when it comes to, like, brawling, like, I assume you did the same thing, but early on in the game, I ended up just boxing with some lousy drunk that owed my dad money. Kudesh, yeah, exactly. And that fight took forever.
Yeah.
What is it? Am I doing it
level
wrong?
up like 9 times if you're doing well in the fight.
Just beating the hell out of this drunk guy in the beginning?
Yeah. I put my points into, what would you put your points into? Because you can distribute 2 points across speech, agility, strength, and vitality.
I did
just like real life.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because it starts out and you're a set character named Henry. You don't get to create a character. It's much less Bethesda than I expected going into it. But you start out, you're Henry, and then your mom's talking to you, and it's like, hey, what were you up to last night? And then each dialogue choice is assigned or connected to a different skill. So it's like, oh, I was hanging out with my girlfriend, therefore my vitality is very good, mother, or whatever the hell that connects means.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Oh, crazy.
So I went strength and vitality, I think. Wink, wink.
Oh,
It's a
that was me
combo.
too. For my second run. Brawls, they can last a while for sure. I like how the fights are kind of rare after you get past the opening tutorial parts, and they're more meaningful when they do happen.
Yeah. So then what have you been warming up to throughout the course of the game? What's won you over?
The diversity of choice is really cool. There's the part, I don't know if you got to it, where you're like trapped in the castle.
No.
You kind of have to escape a castle at some point, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. But my first time playing, I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I eventually got mad and just like stabbed the guard that wouldn't let me out. And then they put me in jail, and then when I got out of jail, they just like banished me from the castle. So that's how I escaped. But then the second time, I like talked to more people, and I found some really interesting ways to do it, which I don't want to spoil too much. But like getting armor to like camouflage your way out, that led to some really, really fun, interesting encounters.
So overall, it's just a real lack of power fantasy?
Exactly.
Okay.
I used to get mods for Skyrim that would make me not the Dragonborn anymore.
Really?
You just get to that point in the story quest where you're supposed to shout at the wall and you can't do it.
It's like, I'm sorry, you're too weak.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. I don't know
That
why.
is one of those things that I loved about the Skyrim games, is just that diversity of play, though. You could be stealthy if you wanted. You could just like go all magic. Sounds like this has some of that.
Yeah, more of that in certain places, but less of it in others.
But it works. Like, it seems like both are as competent.
Yeah,
like
it seems
you
like
liked
it.
both ways. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, there's lots of really interesting stealth factors, like not just your visibility, but how conspicuous you look when you are caught. If you're dressed all covered in blood and stuff, people are going to suspect you of stuff more.
That's cool.
Much like a game with so many systems, and especially in an open world setting like this, little buggy, little janky out of the gate.
That's what I was going to ask. How was the performance?
Sometimes it feels like just a parody of Skyrim. just the dumbest stuff, way dumber. Yeah, just getting trapped at the bottom of a ladder and like you just not being able to get on it for like over a minute.
Oh,
There's
no.
some weird bugs like that. Invisible walls on a staircase. I had to like jump around.
Yeah, I was starting it up on PC last night, and on the main menu, it's kind of like a beautiful hillside with a house on the background and whatnot, just majestic. And so right out of the gate, I was like, all right, well, I'll go into the settings here, crank this up, full screen, blah, 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 1080. Let's really get this baby rolling. High graphic settings. And then hit save. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Over 2 minutes of loading before it went back to the main menu. And then when it got to the main menu, just nothing had any textures, like low poly, idyllic hillscape in the background, and then just slowly loaded in.
That's what it really looked like back then.
Apparently. So it seems to be okay, but definitely rough around the edges out of the gate here.
Definitely some open world jank.
Yeah.
For instance, when I stabbed that guard I talked about, he was like, ow. And then I stepped back and then he walked up and talked to me. He was like, hey, you're that guy who's been crippling people.
Like me.
Yeah. Technically correct.
How is the story so far for you?
It does nothing for me. I'm more in it for the open world kind of smaller stories that emerge. But it seems competent. I've heard that people like it, but I'm not a big
Does it involve
period
like
piece guy, I guess.
real people from the past, like real kings and queens and
It
whatnot?
says 9 historical figures are in the game in a trailer.
I don't know, Reeves. Does the name King Sigismund of Hungary mean anything to you?
My uncle King Sigismund?
Yeah, it's a lot about, at least in the opening areas, about like, oh, the Holy Roman Empire is crumbling. There's a debate about who truly rules it. And I hope that it doesn't end up with like, oh, it turns out Henry was the real ruler all along. I haven't looked into it, but I'd be shocked if the game's going that direction.
He's the chosen one.
Since it
He has
seems
this dragon shout ability.
just
really
like,
cool.
go back on everything. But this game came from such a weird place. It started out with a lot of members from 2K Czech, the old Mafia team. So it's weird Mafia 1 and 2 talent moving over, and then eventually this game was kickstarted a couple years ago for like another $2 million, but it just feels like eventually it was then picked up by Deep Silver, who's now owned by Nordic, who's also THQ. It's a complicated family tree, but Deep Silver is the one right now that actually published this game, and it feels... It's kind of fun when you don't have access to a game early in Game Informer, and then it comes out and it's just trying to get a read on like, what are people feeling about this on the internet? And it seems to be all over the place, but it definitely feels, from what I've seen so far, like this is one of those games that could become a real cult hit.
Yeah.
There's going to be that fan base for a jankier, more grounded, kind of retro feeling open world RPG.
Yeah, and that's what I was feeling the first day, because the first day I played it was just like one day before it came out, and I just had no context on what it was, and I was like, is this terrible? Is this game a huge pile of trash? Because there's just some weird, really obtuse stuff and some really weird mission design, I felt like at the start, but it really grew on me the more I came to understand it and put up with the jank. You know, just like Skyrim, you've got to just tune some stuff out.
Become a little jank rat.
Yeah.
So... Jeff, I'm very curious to hear his thoughts after he pours a lot more time into this thing. So take everything with a grain of salt, but it should be coming up soon on the site, and maybe we'll have him on the podcast talking about how it pans out over the course of dozens and dozens of hours, because it's an interesting game to be released.
Do you want to talk about the weird save system?
What the hell is this? I was trying to save my game, and it said the option was grayed out because, quote, you have no savior schnapps.
You didn't have any savior schnapps.
What?
What does that mean?
There's a consumable item in the game called Savior Schnapps. You can buy it at taverns, or
This
you
sounds
can
like
brew
a
it yourself.
joke.
It's crazy because you get 3 early on, like in the tutorial, but like I'm 4 hours in my current playthrough at home, and I have across the whole game seen half of the amount of money that one of those things costs. Like I have no possible understanding of how I could possibly buy one, and I'm way too early to craft one, so I just used my last save to save
Oh my God.
before I played tonight and have to figure it out.
Oh
What?
my,
A couple questions.
That's not realism. What is that?
Do people just love ink ribbons from Resident Evil so much that they want to go back to the system? Second question, are they going for a pun on savior? Like save your schnapps? The hell's with
To answer
savior
your
schnapps?
second and most important question, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
First off, it's really a strange thing because, you know, you spam saving so much in Skyrim, or you can in those Elder Scrolls games. But in this one, there was a part where, you know, my brutish character, not particularly deft with a lockpick, mind you, and I had to use exactly one to open this chest. So I used my second to last savior schnapps there, and it became like a tactical move that I did. Like I used a consumable to be able to like try that lockpick over and over again. And it made it more like satisfying from a gameplay perspective than if I could
Weird.
just autosave or quick save whenever.
They didn't have quick loads back in the 15th century, Leo. Come on, man. Let's be legit for the time frame.
Yeah, they had to drink their schnapps.
They had to drink load your snops to
Yeah.
load up an old save.
But also, one of the first mods of like 5 total mods that exist for this game is unlimited saving.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You can get drunk on Save Your Schnapps.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's
You do
it.
actually get drunk. Whenever you save your game, you get a little bit drunk.
Is that
Really?
true?
Yeah, that's 100%
That's great.
true.
I love realism like that.
There's a little like blur to the image or what?
It's a little wavy, and you get like a little icon in the lower left reminding you that you're debuffed / buffed.
So every
by
time you
drinking.
load the game, you're drunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
Well,
this
that's like
sounds
real life.
interesting, we recommend checking out Kingdom Come Deliverance, at
It's
least
a
for
fascinating
reviews.
sim.
Yeah. Gosh, it could go any which way,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to see what that fan base looks like by the end of the year for Kingdom Come Deliverance. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.